They weren't the biggest, the loudest, or the most famous, but these small American V8s had more fight in them than anyone expected. Built for light cars, daily drivers, and budget performance, they proved that muscle isn't always about size. From aluminum experiments to compact powerhouses, these engines punched far above their weight. Plymouth 273 LAV8, 1964 to 1969. When Dodge and Plymouth needed a compact, efficient V8 for their new A-body cars, Chrysler created the 273LA, the first in its new lightweight small block family. Released in 1964, the 273 displaced 4.5 liters and was built with thin wall casting to reduce weight by nearly 50 pounds compared to earlier poly V8s. Even the base 2-barrel made 180 horsepower, but the Commando 273 4-barrel screamed at 235 horsepower, nearly 1 horsepower per cubic inch, a serious figure for its time. It featured a forged crankshaft, hydraulic lifters, and high-flow heads that paved the way for the legendary 318, 340, and 360 engines that followed. This was the seed that grew the entire LA small block dynasty, the backbone of Mopar performance for 30 years. Buick 215 aluminum V8, 1961 to 1963. The Buick 215 was a glimpse into the future, a fully aluminum V8 weighing just 320 pounds. In 1961, when most engines were iron giants, Buick created a masterpiece of lightness and efficiency. Displacing only 3.5 liters, it produced up to 200 horsepower thanks to 10.25 to 1 compression and free revving design. It powered the Buick Special and Skylark, offering V8 smoothness with 4-cylinder weight. The 215's advanced casting methods made it expensive to build, and by 1963, GM abandoned it. But the story didn't end there. British automaker Rover bought the design and turned it into the famous Rover V8, which lived for over 40 years in Range Rovers, MGs, and TBRs. Its lightweight construction gave cars sharper handling and better weight distribution than many 6-cylinder rivals of the era. Even today, enthusiasts admire the 215 for its tunability, capable of doubling its factory output with modern heads and fuel injection. So while it's forgotten in America, this little aluminum V8 became one of the most successful engine designs in the world. Buick 300 V8, 1964 to 1967. The Buick 300 was the quiet overachiever of GM's mid-60s lineup, essentially a steel block evolution of the famous 215 aluminum V8. It kept the light heads but gained a cast iron block for strength and durability. The result? A smooth, torquey 5.0-liter that produced 210 to 250 horsepower. Impressive numbers for a family sedan engine. It was compact, efficient, and built to last, with Buick's trademark quiet refinement. In the Skylark and Special, it delivered effortless performance and silky torque at low RPM, all while sipping less fuel than the heavier 327s and 352s of the day. The 300 also became a favorite for engine swaps and later served as the foundation for Rover's 3.5-liter V8, the one that powered Land Rovers and British sports cars for decades. This small Buick may not have had a flashy badge, but it carried world-class engineering in a forgotten American shell. Chevrolet 307 small block, 1968 to 1973. Chevy's 307 was never meant to be a hero, but time turned it into one. Introduced in 1968, it combined the short stroke of the 283 with the larger bore of the 327, creating a 5.0-liter V8 that was smooth, efficient, and tough. With 200 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque, the 307 powered millions of Chevelles, Novas, and Camaros, the quiet heart of everyday American muscle. It wasn't the fastest, but it refused to die. These engines ran 200,000 miles without major issues, all while delivering that unmistakable small block rumble. Mechanically, it used the same forged crankshaft and valve train as larger 350s, making it a popular swap base for hot rodders on a budget. When the fuel crisis hit, Chevy phased it out. But decades later, the 307 still starts, idles, and runs like the day it left the factory. Despite being overlooked by collectors, the 307 shared the same legendary small block DNA that made the 350 famous. Many mechanics still call it the forgotten Chevy that never quits, thanks to its simple design and massive parts compatibility. A forgotten middle child in the small block family, Pontiac 326 V8 1963 to 1966. In 1963, Pontiac engineers wanted a compact V8 for lighter cars like the Tempest and early GTO prototypes. Their solution was the 326, a downsized version of the 389, sharing its architecture but with a smaller bore. Displacing 5.3 liters, the 326 delivered 250 to 285 horsepower, depending on compression and carb setup. It had the torque and sound of a big engine, yet the agility and fuel economy of a small one. Built with cast iron strength and Pontiac's famous wedge heads, the 326 laid the foundation for the legendary 350 and 400 engines that came later. While overshadowed by the mighty 389 and 421, the 326 was the stepping stone that made Pontiac's muscle-era explosion possible. It powered early Le Mans, Tempest, and Firebird models, cars that introduced America to Pontiac's blend of refinement and brute force. Today, it's a forgotten workhorse, but without it, the GTO and 400 HO might never have existed. It proved that even a smaller Pontiac V8 could capture the raw torque and personality that defined the brand's muscle era. Studebaker 259 Commander V8 1955 to 1964. Before the Big Three dominated Detroit, Studebaker quietly built some of the toughest V8s in America. Their 259 Commander engine was born in 1955, a small but mighty evolution of Studebaker's original 232 V8. Built entirely in-house, this compact 4.2-liter was over-engineered from the start, forged crankshaft, deep skirt block, and heavy bearings designed to survive punishment. Output started at 162 horsepower with a 2-barrel carburetor, but optional 4-barrel versions hit 180 to 195 horsepower. Impressive for mid-50s compression and displacement. In performance trims like the Champion and Commander, the 259 gave Studebaker cars a punchy, eager character that rivaled V8s from Ford and Chevy despite smaller cubes. By the early 60s, it proved nearly unkillable. Hot rodders loved it, drag racers swapped it, and even police cars used it for reliability. When Studebaker folded in the mid-60s, the 259 quietly disappeared, but its DNA lived on in the 289 and 304 performance versions used in the legendary Avanti and Lark.